Okay, so we've obviously seen an evolution in terms of your relationship with money. What would you say is the best piece of financial advice you ever received?
The best piece of financial advice. Um, so I've received a lot of good ones, but I'm gonna
Or
tell
you
you
can list a couple. You can list a couple or a few, you know.
one thing that I like. I know I said this in a podcast, but increasing your cash flow.
Hmm.
That is something that I'm working towards now, and I wish I had worked towards like at the same time while I was paying
Hmm.
off debt, instead of waiting till after. But
Hmm.
you need cash flow, and it needs to be passive. We've seen, during the pandemic, and I know for me, I lost 99, like basically 99% of my income. I was
Yeah.
babysitting as well, and with COVID, schools are locked down, and then nobody wants you around their kids, so that's gone. And then my gigs, they're canceled or postponed, so
Hmm.
no income for a little bit. So understanding that you need that cash flow and you need passive income, that's like the biggest piece, and that's the one thing that has changed my goals and just what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on increasing my cash flow and multiplying my streams of passive income, not active, because that limits you, but passive.
Hmm.
So that's definitely has to be the biggest piece.
Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely key. Good, good. Just for the listeners, how much did you pay off and what timeline?
I paid off about $26,000 in under 7 months.
Amazing, amazing,
Mm-hmm.
great. Did you have federal, private? What kind of loans you had?
My loans were all federal.
Okay.
So yeah, so thankfully they were
Hmm.
federal,
Yeah.
because of course that affects interest rates and versus like private loans and things like that, but all federal. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So, you know how they put a pause on the student loans, I think until October 1st, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken. Let's say you still had debt. What would you recommend that someone would do between today and now?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy that you asked this question because I was thinking, I was thinking about it. Some people, I'm tired. I'm tired. It depends on the situation, right?
Yeah.
Someone in my case, I would, instead of taking that money and putting it towards loans, I would take that money and invest it and use that money to build a business that creates that cash flow. I don't, for me, I don't have kids, I don't have a family I have to worry about, and I'm also disciplined. I know if I say I'm going to take that money instead of pay off my loans and put it in investments, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But if you
Hmm.
know you are not disciplined and you say you're going to do that, but then you're going to go spend it on something that you don't need, please pay off, please pay off your loans. But
Yeah.
you have, like, that's kind of two choices. You can like knock out those payments because it's interest free, federal loans that is, or
Yeah.
you can take that money and create that cash flow, because if you create the cash flow, you use that to pay off the debt, and then you still have it once you're debt free. You still have money coming in, and you have options. So that's two things. So my advice would be to sit down, go over your finances and your situations and figure out what's best for you. If you have a partner, that's something that you need to discuss with them. I could just make the decision for me because it's just me.
Hmm.
But sit down, talk it over, really assess your level of discipline. If you say you're going to invest in the business and you're going to be disciplined and consistent and build the business to bring in that cash flow, then go for it. But if you're
Hmm.
not, then knock out those student loan payments while you're not accumulating interest.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I like that. So we got about 10 more minutes with Priya. If y'all got questions, you can type them in below. We're just having a casual conversation. Her episode is going to drop on Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I believe that is March 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
March 1st.
So make sure y'all tap in, make sure y'all tune in, and go check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. This is a hypothetical question.
Okay.
Could you marry someone if they were swimming in debt?
Whew. Why do I feel like you were just all in my head this past week? Like, you were literally asking all the questions I've been thinking about. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hey, let's keep it a buck.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know, because I've never had consumer debt, and I've worked hard to never have consumer debt, and I don't ever plan to have it. And of course, I don't plan to take out student loans ever again.
Yeah.
And I understand when you get married, it's no longer his debt; it becomes ours. And I just feel like I would now become obligated, both of us together, to pay that off. And I don't know, like, I may fall so in love with, I don't care. And I'm like, I'll help him pay it down, because I don't want to, that's definitely one thing I don't want to do, is start a family with debt, so that's the question. I don't know. And I'm young, I don't know. I really
But
don't.
it's not your immediate preference, basically.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay. So where do you see the Boss Wallet within, let's just say, like, next year or so? Let's just talk about 1 year. We're in 2021. What's planned for the Boss Wallet in 2021?
Next year, I definitely want to. I'll have my ebooks released and my courses, but next year I definitely want to have Boss Wallet expanded to like a membership or like a mentorship, program or society. That's one thing I feel like I've struggled with. I'm very introverted, so networking is hard for me. I don't have a mentor or things like that, and I feel like that's really necessary in your journey. So it would be like a society where people can feel free and comfortable to network and wouldn't feel so much pressure, and just can have the option of having a mentor. Like, I would bring different mentors on board and possibly connect them or link. Not sure how I would do it still, brainstorming and working out the kinks. But that's a big part of it, because networking, and it's really important. Your connections, that's also how you learn. And it's something that's important to me because, like I mentioned, I'm just very to myself, and it kind of becomes really hard to make those connections. So a society where it makes it a little bit, easier.
Okay. And I'm just thinking, in the podcast, you mentioned about paying yourself first in terms of your journey. So I'm kind of curious in terms of the technicalities. Did you decide to go like the death snowball method, the avalanche method? Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what was your strategy?
I did the snowball method, and I started with the smallest amounts. It built that momentum in me, because I was like, oh, I paid off this loan. Oh, let me tackle this one. So I was able to do that. And then as far as paying myself first, I honestly would throw money towards my debt before I paid anything. I was definitely living at home at the time, so I had a little bit more flexibility that a lot of people won't have. So everyone's situation is different. But before I paid Visa, before I paid Sprint, before I paid anybody, that money was going to my student loans. And now that I've paid them off, it's still a habit that's in me. So the money, instead of going to debt now, it goes to my investments first before I pay anybody else. And then I live off of what's left. So that's important, because it makes sure you understand that saving and investing is not optional. We don't want to wait and then, oh, there's nothing left, so can't save, can't invest. No.
Yeah.
No. You save and invest first, and then you live off what's left, and you pay everybody else, once you paid yourself. So snowball and pay yourself first.
Okay, perfect. I love that. Just as a reminder, we got 5 minutes with Priya left. If you guys got questions, feel free to type them down below. The podcast episode with Priya drops on Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's March 1st. So based off of what you did, you said you were living at home. Would you recommend someone that's living by themselves to do that? Like, they got to pay rent and stuff. Would you recommend that they put it towards their debt before they pay their rent?
That's a good question. I honestly, again, I would go back to who the person is, and the kind of person. Like me, even to this point, I still, like I said, I still save that money and invest, even though I have rent to pay. However, I am very disciplined. I make sure that I have enough money left to pay my bills. If you are a person who's always living paycheck to paycheck, is still struggling with money, and you never have enough for your bills, I would recommend paying your rent and your bare bones, like your necessities first. So your rent, your utilities, you don't want to be in the dark and you don't want to be on the streets. So pay that first.
Facts.
And then save and invest, and then the extra stuff, then you can live off that. So if you've been struggling with your finances, pay your necessities first, your rent, your utilities, your phone bill, then save, and then you live off what's left. Your grocery is something that you can maneuver. You can decrease it. Just stop buying, just buy off-brand or things like that. You have a little bit of wiggle room there. However, if you are on it, you always have money to pay your bills. You're not living paycheck to paycheck, and you literally write out and you stick to your budget. Save and invest first, and then pay everything else later. So it's just being honest with yourself and baby steps. Don't rush it. Don't try to be like anybody else. This is what I do. It's what works for me, but don't try to be like me if you know it's not going to work for you.
Yeah, definitely that self-awareness piece, because if someone's thinking like they could operate like you, but they can't, then that's definitely definitely a dangerous thing. So what would you rate your discipline? Let's say scale of 1 to 10. I'm just curious.
I would say when it comes to food and stuff, I would say
let's talk finances.
When it comes to food and takeout, I would say a 6 or a 7. Okay. But when it comes to everything else, a 10. Like, I don't care. I don't care about name brand. I don't care about designer. Like, my siblings will tell you, Priya is not for that stuff. If I don't have it, if I didn't budget for it, it's a wrap. Like, I have no problem saying no when it comes to that. But then we get to takeout stuff, and I'm a foodie, so my discipline is like a 6 or 7 there. But everything else, I'm at a 10. Like, well, yeah. Okay.
As we got a minute left, and we're about to wrap it up to respect everybody's time, what piece of advice would you have for someone listening to the podcast episode? I guess what I'm trying to say is, what do you want people to take from your podcast episode in terms of their journey?
Let your journey be your journey. Do not compare yourself to anybody else. Everybody else is different. Some people are starting later than you. Some people have started sooner. Some people may not have had as much debt as you. You can take advice, and use their story for guidance, but do not compare yourself, because you will get discouraged and it can kind of deter you and make you feel a little hopeless. Everybody's life, everybody's situation is different. So don't compare your journey to me. Don't compare it to Michael's. Don't compare it to anybody else you see on Instagram, because there are a lot of debt-free pages and finance pages and, just so much information out there. So again, educate yourself. It's nothing wrong with taking advice and seeking help, but focus on you. Come up with a plan for you, how you're going to do it for you, what works for you, and you'll be good. Focus on your goals and your why. That's really, really important.
Definitely love that. And I'll add on too, in terms of focusing on yourself. It's important to focus on yourself, because some of these people on social media be lying. So, just be aware of that.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, appreciate your time, Priya. Just as a reminder, the episode drops on Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Y'all can go tune into that. If you're watching the replay and it's after the Monday, just go listen to the episode right now. But yeah, with that being said, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a blessed one. Appreciate you, Priya. Have a blessed one.
Thanks.
Bye. No problem. Peace.